Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin VERHEY from Wizards of the Coast, and coming up in Kaldheim is Boast. It's a brand new mechanic all about you being as awesome as possible. So today, I am going to be as awesome as possible with
I'm awesome at episode ever!
Let's talk a bit about Boast. Here we go. Since very early on in the set's design process, Kaldheim had mechanics about Vikings and attacking, two things that just went really well together. But it wasn't always Boast. It started off with a mechanic called Pyre, or would later be called Cremate. One of the things we do when making a new world that is a flavorful top-down world is look at things in pop culture and actual culture that players will expect from that world. And in the case of Kaldheim, when I think of Norse mythology and Vikings, of course, a big thing I think about are those
Viking Funerals, where they push those boats out to sea and light them on fire.
The way that Pyre worked is whenever you attacked with a creature with Pyre, you could pay some mana and exile a creature card from your graveyard to get an effect. For example, imagine you attacked, paid some mana, exiled a creature, and then you got a +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures as a reward. It was a way to use your dead creatures as a resource and encourage attacking, not just through the Pyre ability itself, but also because you just wanted creatures attacking
so they would die.
So you could activate your Pyre abilities. Now, Pyre went through a lot of different iterations over the course of design, and different triggers were tried, as well as plenty of different outputs for the effect. And as I mentioned earlier, eventually it was called Cremate. But it made it all the way to the handoff from Ethan Fleischer to Dave Humphreys, when Dave took it to go run with it for the rest of set design. And immediately, he noticed a problem. Here's the issue. I talked earlier about how Pyre incentivizes you to attack. And if you're the only player with Pyre creatures, that's true.
You want them to die.
But if you both have Pyre creatures, which would often be the case in a game of Limited, well, suddenly you actually don't want to attack, because you don't want to risk turning on your opponent's Pyre creatures. And the result, ironically, was this attacking mechanic creating stalemates. So when Dave took over the set, he looked for a new mechanic that would still be
an attacking focus mechanic.
And in this case, it was out with death and in with glory. Glory, first pitched by Brian Hawley, is what would go on to become Boast.
I actually dug up the balls.
Where Brian first pitched the glory mechanic. And here are some of the cards that he originally pitched. And you'll see that the core mechanic did not actually change that much from its original idea. The big difference is that originally, some of them could be activated multiple times, and some were locked into the once per turn restriction. But eventually, that was changed, and they all got lined up under the same ability of only do it once per turn. Now, one of the interesting things you'll note about Boast is there are not many creatures with it that have any kind of evasion ability. And that's because risking your creature in combat is kind of an inherently interesting part of the Boast mechanic.
Do you want to put your creature at rest? Do you have a trick?
These are the kind of things that come up when you're trying to boast. Besides,
you've got to risk a little to boast a little.
So given that Boast is all about attacking with a little bit of risk, it should come as no surprise that
loves to boast.
And it even has cards like Frenzied Raider, which get bigger every time you boast. And at the top of the food chain,
Berkey,
a god which lets you boast
twice per turn.
And while we're boasting about awesome stuff here, have you seen the showcase version of Berkey? This is gorgeous. I love it so much.
And that is how Boast came to be.
What do you think about Boast?
Let me know in the comments down below.
I'll talk with you again soon. And in the meantime, may you have fun telling your friends about all of your amazing accomplishments. You got this.